In a world that looks perfectly normal from the outside, crowded streets, people going to work, students studying, and everyone living a regular routine. But behind this quiet mask hides the true face of the world. A hidden power controls everything from behind the scenes, taking the shape of an unknown mobile app. One wrong tap is enough to end your normal life forever. It drags you into a dark reality with only one rule: survival. There's no way back and no quit button. Once you step inside, your only goal is to stay alive, even if it costs the lives of the people around you. Survival belongs to the strongest, and your first mistake will be your last. This is a curse disguised as a game. This is Darwin's Game. Our story begins with Hamada, a high school student running through the streets as if death is chasing him. And that's the actual truth. After he suddenly found himself trapped in a bloody game, his mission is to kill Panda Kun, or as the players call him, the Rookie Killer. The problem is, this killer has a terrifying ability to turn completely invisible, which makes Hamada's mission even harder. Out of pure terror, he starts scrolling through his phone like crazy. His hands are shaking as he looks for any button to get him out of this nightmare. But the rules of the game are clear and strictly enforced. There is no quitting except through death. In a moment of despair, he decides to send an invite message to his friend Kaname, hoping he might save him. After running for a while, Hamada reaches a dead end. When he looks at the game map on his phone, he sees the killer's red dot approaching him fast. But when he looks around, there is no trace of him. He decides to gather his courage, pulls out his weapon, and starts swinging at the air randomly like a madman. For a brief moment, he thinks he is safe, until suddenly the killer appears right in front of his face out of nowhere. With just one strike, he finishes him off. The game announces the end of the battle between Panda Kun and Hamada, with Panda Kun winning, and it's game over for Hamada. The next morning, we go to the high school and meet Kaname. He is a very normal guy, zoning out in class, and thinking about how to find an afternoon job to buy the motorcycle he really wants. But his classmate, Shinazuka, interrupts his thoughts and shows him a weird trend taking over the city's social media. Pictures of street art sculptures, which are actually scenes of chopped up human bodies surrounded by blood. People think it's modern art, but when Kaname looks at the pictures, he feels disgusted. His instinct tells him that something is wrong because the scene is creepy and the blood looks too real. Suddenly, their friend Kyoto walks in looking nervous and asks them, "Did any of you see Hamada? He's been missing since yesterday." Kaname replies, "You're right, he didn't show up today, but I remember he sent me a message yesterday that I haven't read yet." Kaname reads the message out loud. In short, Hamada is inviting him to play a new free game called Darwin's Game. In that moment, Kyoto's face completely changes. He yells at him in terror, saying, "Whatever you do, do not open that game." But Kaname laughs it off and takes it lightly, saying, "Come on, what's the big deal? It's just a game. I'll just try it." And he opens the game. As soon as he opens the game, a real snake comes out of the screen, attacks him, and bites him on the neck. Kaname jumps from his seat, standing up terrified and holding his neck. But his classmates don't see anything that just happened and are confused by his reaction. A few seconds later, Kaname falls to the ground and loses consciousness. At that time, a message appears on the phone confirming Kaname's entry into the game, invited by the dead player, Hamada. The exact moment Kaname loses consciousness, the phones of all the players in Darwin's Game light up with one notification: new player logged in. Here we meet Shuka, known as the undefeated queen, and one of the strongest players on the entire server. From just one look at Kaname's profile, her pro player instinct kicks in. She feels that this boy is not just another new victim or a number to be added to the death count. She is completely sure he has a special ability, and decides to keep an eye on him to see for herself. We go back to Kaname, who opens his eyes in shock to find himself in a hospital bed. The doctor calms him down, telling him not to worry. It was just a simple fainting spell, and he just needs to sign the release papers and go live his life. Kaname puts his hand on his neck, where the snake bit him, feeling a strange pain. But what he didn't know is that the bite didn't leave a wound. It left a barcode carved into his skin. This code is his user seal in the game, which is impossible to erase. While he is signing the release forms, he accidentally drops the doctor's pen under the nightstand. He reaches his hand out to get it, and suddenly, his hand lets out a strange, glowing light. He feels the texture of the pen in his hand, pulls it out, hands it to the doctor, and leaves. Up until now, things seem normal. But the shock hits the doctor. When she looks at the floor, she finds her pen still lying there. She looks at her hand and sees the pen Kaname gave her. Both are exact, identical copies. As soon as Kaname walks out, he finds his friends Shinazuka and Kyoto waiting to check on him. He thanks them for their help, but Kyoto's face is completely serious. He gets closer to Kaname and whispers in a terrifying tone, saying, "I need to talk with you alone." That game Hamada sent you is not just a game. I'll come over tonight and explain everything. Kyoto walks away, leaving Kanami standing there drowning in a sea of questions. After that, Kanami takes the subway back home, his mind replaying the scene of the snakebite. He tries to convince himself that it's all just hallucinations and stress. Suddenly, he gets a notification from the game saying, "Prepare for the next battle." When he opens it, the game announces the start of a fight between Kanami and Panda-kun. Kanami looks at the screen in confusion, not understanding what is going on. When he looks up, he finds the subway car completely empty, except for him and a terrifying person wearing a panda mask, sitting across from him and holding a shiny knife. The staring contest is broken when the panda stands up and slowly walks towards Kanami with terrifying steps. He tries to convince himself it's just a prank, until the knife is raised to slash his neck, snapping him back to reality. In a life-or-death moment, Kanami jumps, dodges the strike, and punches him hard in the stomach to push him away. As soon as the subway doors open, Kanami flies outside and runs as fast as he can, but the panda chases him with incredible speed. The weirdest part is that the people in the station act like they don't see anything happening. Suddenly, Kanami spots a station officer and runs to him for help. But before the officer can even figure out what's going on, the panda attacks and slices the officer's neck with a swift knife strike. Kanei freezes in pure terror. Just before the knife hits his own neck, an arrow shot by Kyoto flies out of nowhere and hits the panda. Kyoto yells at the top of his lungs, telling Kanami to run away fast. He tells him that if he can escape and hide, it means he wins the match. Naturally, the panda gets furious. He uses his ability and turns completely invisible. But lucky for them, Kyoto's ability is thermal vision. He can see his heat outline, dodges his attack, and stabs an arrow into his body. But the panda launches a fierce counterattack and stabs Kyoto in the stomach. Despite bleeding heavily, Kyoto pulls out an arrow and drives it into the panda's leg with his bare hand. He screams at Kanami to run and leave him behind, but Kanami refuses. He supports his friend and they escape together. They finally reach a safe hideout where Kanami asks Kyoto to call the police. But Kyoto reveals the bitter truth. Once you're in a game battle, you can't contact anyone outside the game's chat. When Kanami tries to dial the police, he finds their number is out of service. Meanwhile, the panda follows the drops of blood left by Kyoto. At that moment, Kanami receives a warning notification from Shuka. She tells him that the panda can see his exact location on the game map. She advises him to use his own ability to kill him, because just running away won't be enough. Kanub decides to fight back. He hides Kyoto in a safe spot, goes out to lure the panda, and runs to hide inside a bathroom. The panda follows him in, pulls out a gun, and starts shooting randomly at the doors. Suddenly, Kanami appears from nowhere, hits him hard with a fire extinguisher, and sends him flying outside. The battle between them gets intense. The panda pulls out his knife and turns invisible again. Kanami stands still, feeling that his death is just a matter of time. But destiny refuses his death. A speeding car flies down the street, hits the invisible panda, and deals a fatal blow. Right then, a notification arrives, the match is over, and the winner is Kaname, because he caused more damage with the help of Kyoto and the car. The panda lies dying on the ground, unable to believe he lost to a rookie player who doesn't even know what his own ability is yet. Then Kanami discovers the dark truth. He sees hologram cubes appearing on the panda's body, eating his flesh and making him disappear piece by piece. All that's left is a bloody carving of his body on the ground, the exact same creepy art trend his classmate was talking about this morning. Kanave snaps out of it, remembers Kyoto, and runs fast to check on him. Sadly, he arrives too late. Kyoto is not there. Instead, there is another bloody carving in the shape of his body. He realizes his friend is dead forever. He breaks down, unable to believe what is happening around him. Suddenly, his phone lights up with Kyoto's final message before he died. It was just one word, survive, on the other side. Shuka gets a notification that Kanami won the battle against Panda-kun. Now she knows her instinct wasn't wrong. This boy isn't just a victim, he's a treasure. She decides to send him a message to meet up tonight. She wants him as a strong ally before the game turns him into an enemy. At the same time, Kanami is sitting in his room, his mind trying to process the nightmare he just escaped. His thoughts are interrupted by a new game notification. A random reward box is on the way. Still completely confused, Kanami taps on the box. When he goes towards the sound, he finds a locked box that appeared out of nowhere. He opens it quickly and finds a gun with its bullets inside. But Kanami is still holding on to his innocence. He closes the box and puts it aside because he doesn't want to point a weapon at anyone's face. He just wants to stay alive in peace without killing anyone. At night, Kanami goes to the place Shuka sent him to meet her. It turns out to be an old abandoned factory. He climbs the fence and follows strange hanging signs that guide him on his way. Once he enters the factory, he calls out her name, and Shuka suddenly appears. As soon as Kaname sees her, he notices her innocent features, which don't look at all like the people who play this game. Kaname starts the conversation by asking Shuka, You told me in the message that you'll help me end this game, right? But Shuka replies, I didn't say end it. This game only ends with death. I said I will help you survive, and to survive you must kill and win your battles. To do that, you need to team up with someone strong like me. But Kaname completely rejects the idea of killing. He tells her he doesn't want to level up or earn points. He just wants to be left alone to live. Shuka looks at him with understanding and says, maybe, but first tell me, what is your ability? Kaname replies honestly and tells her, I don't know. But that phrase hits Shuka like a lightning bolt because she considers it a flat-out lie and a lack of trust. Her innocent features evaporate and turn into terrifying anger. Without any warning, she activates a battle against him and tells him she will punish him by killing him. Instantly, her eyes glow red and she attacks him. In that moment, with quick thinking, Kaname pulls out a very bright flashlight from his bag and shines it in her eyes to blind her for a few seconds. He uses this time to run as fast as he can towards the factory gates. But to his surprise, Shuka controls the gates and locks them. Suddenly, he finds himself trapped with one of the strongest players in the game, who also wants to kill him. He finds sharp iron chains, which are Shuka's weapons, flying after him everywhere, slicing through anything in their path. Kaname barely dodges them as he runs. In a moment of despair, his mind screams that he needs a weapon to defend himself. He needs the gun he left at home. Suddenly, he sees his hand emitting a blue glow, and the gun from the box materializes out of nowhere right in his hand. He immediately turns around and shoots at Shuka to push her back. Neither of them understands how this just happened. Kaname takes advantage of her stepping back and hides. But Kaname's shot makes Shuka lose her temper. She starts swinging her chains like crazy, destroying the factory piece by piece, and giving Kaname a deep cut on his arm. He hides again and wraps his wound with a piece of cloth. At that moment, his mind starts connecting the dots and solving the puzzle. He realizes that his ability is cloning. He can create anything he needs as long as he understands how it's built. Here, Kaname decides to flip the game and set a trap for Shuka. He clones a second gun and throws it as bait. As soon as Shuka hears the sound of the gun, she heads towards it. Instantly, Kaname appears behind her holding a stun gun he just cloned and shocks her with it. Shuka falls to the ground, unable to move. In a split second, Kaname clones another gun and points it at her head. This is the moment he could end her life, but he calmly tells her, I won't kill you. I'll give you a chance to surrender from the battle. And so, Shuka pulls out her phone and announces her surrender. At that moment, the curtain falls on the first defeat in Shuka's history at the hands of Kaname. The student who just entered the game puts an end to the legend of the undefeated queen. Kaname's victory over Panda Kun, and then Queen Shuka, wasn't just a normal event. It was an earthquake that shook the entire game server. The news spread like lightning and reached one of the heavy hitters, Inukai, a player with a super speed ability. Inukai decides he needs to figure out who this new kid is that turned the game upside down. So he immediately goes to Rhine, known in the game world as the information broker. And Rhine isn't just a smart player, she has a terrifying ability called Laplace. This ability makes her brain work like a supercomputer. She can calculate physics, predict enemy movements, and even track the exact path of bullets. You could say she sees the near future. Rhine, of course, used this talent to buy and sell information inside the game. Right now, she tells Inukai what she knows about Kaname. He is a brand new player, but he already won 2 heavyweight battles. What's even more dangerous is that he has a unique ability to clone any weapon he thinks of. Inukai asks for his location, and she confirms he has a meeting with Shuka downtown. Inukai hangs up and heads straight there. Meanwhile, downtown, Kaname meets Shuka. He asks her to find a way to hide him from the game's radar so no one fights him. Shuka tells him about the magic solution, the shelter. It costs only 10 points to join, and it removes you from the active players list, stopping all random battles. However, it won't protect you from mandatory game events. Shuka continues, warning him that a massive event is about to start and gives him an offer he can't refuse. How about we make a clan together? She asks. As soon as Kaname hears the offer, he agrees immediately. But she tells him he needs to level up a bit to form a clan and be its leader. He suggests she make the clan and be the leader since she's a high-level player. But she explains that the game rules say a clan leader must be a male, so he is the one who has to level up. Kaname agrees, and they plan to team up in the next event so he can reach the required level. While they are walking, Shuka leaves Kaname for a few seconds to use the restroom. At that moment, Kaname's phone lights up with a notification announcing the new event, the treasure hunt. While Kaname is reading the details in total confusion, a hand suddenly reaches out and snatches his phone. He looks up to find Inukai standing right in front of him. Inukai tells him, "You're coming quietly with me to talk in private." Naturally, Kaname refuses at first, but Inukai threatens him with a game weakness he didn't know about. He tells him that if the phone breaks, the game considers you dead, and you will vanish from existence just as if someone killed you. Under this threat, Kaname is forced to walk with Inukai in silence, without even leaving a message for Shuka. As soon as Shuka walks out of the restroom, she looks around, but can't find Kaname. Just then, Her phone rings. She looks and sees it's Rain, the information broker. Shuka answers, and Rain offers her a quick deal. I know where your friend is. How much will you pay? Of course, since it's about Kaname, Shuka doesn't think twice before agreeing to pay any price. She buys the information and rushes toward Kaname. Meanwhile, Inukai stands face to face with Kaname in an empty, quiet street. Kaname asks him calmly, "What do you want from me?" Inukai looks at him fiercely and says, "Anyone in my place would be dying to fight the freak who beat the rookie killer and the undefeated queen in his first 2 days playing." Kaname tries to back out as usual, saying, "I don't want to fight anyone." But Inukai throws his phone back at him and says, "You don't have the luxury to choose." With the push of a button, he officially starts the match. The fight starts right away. Inukai attacks with fast, non-stop strikes. Kaname manages to dodge a few of them, but takes a massive punch to the face that knocks him to the ground. Inukai looks at him with disappointment and mocks him, saying, "What is this? Is this the level of the guy who beat all those legends?" Inukai's mockery makes Kaname furious. In a split second, he clones his stun gun and hits Inukai with a surprise attack, which is enough to push him back. Kaname doesn't wait. He gets up and attacks again, but Inukai dodges his attacks and delivers a devastating punch to Kaname's chest, sending him flying away. However, when Inukai looks over at Kaname, he is shocked to see his own phone in Kaname's hand. Kaname managed to steal it while taking the punch to the chest. He looks at Inukai with absolute confidence and threatens him. "If you don't surrender right now, I won't think twice before breaking your phone and ending your game forever." Right then, Shuka appears out of nowhere. She attacks Inukai with her iron chains to crush him, but he barely dodges. Kaname steps in, stops Shuka, and says coldly, "It's over. I finished the fight. He is surrendering now." Inukai officially gives up and Kaname scores his third win in a row, all without killing a single person so far. The exact moment the fight ends, all three of their phones light up with an urgent alert. The treasure hunt event will start in 60 seconds. When the timer hits 0, hologram cubes suddenly appear and start wrapping around each player's body to teleport them to a random location on the event map. Before she disappears, Shuka tells Kaname, "As soon as the event starts, find me quickly. Together, no one can hurt you and we can level you up." In the blink of an eye, the cubes make Kaname vanish. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself inside a quiet hotel room. The street, Inukai, and Shuka are all completely gone. He quickly pulls his phone from his pocket to figure out where he is and what this new event disaster is all about. The game shows a map of the Shibuya area and sends him the details and rules for the new event. The treasure hunt. Kaname starts reading the rules, which look very simple on the surface. The main goal is to collect hidden rings scattered across different places in the event area. These rings aren't all the same. They have different colors and types, and each ring gives massive points to its owner. The event ends once all the rings in the city are collected, or when the 24-hour time limit runs out. There are 300 players in the event, with one small deadly note: any player who collects less than 3 rings will face game over forever. Knowing there are only 300 rings in the entire game means only a third of the players will survive. Also, collecting more than 3 rings gives you extra points, and the player with the most points will win the event and get massive rewards. With the game starting, sadly for the players, one of the most dangerous and brutal fighters is participating. His name is Wang, the leader of the 8th clan. He is extremely bloodthirsty, enjoys killing, and his ability lets him cut or teleport anything that enters his range. It's like he manipulates space. Unfortunately for one female player, she spawns right behind Wang at the start of the event. But she gathers her courage and decides to fight him. She throws a piece of paper at him, and when Wang turns to see who threw it, she uses her ability to ignite the paper, creating massive flames to burn him. But Wang doesn't care. He easily throws her off the roof of the building they spawned on, killing her and dropping the player count down to 299. In mere seconds, the body of the girl Wang threw turns into a pixelated carving on the ground. As usual, the civilians who know nothing about the game gather around to take pictures of the trend. Shuka notices the crowd around the body and checks her phone, realizing the player count has dropped to 299. Suddenly, the whole city shakes with a light tremor, followed by a very loud noise. Once the noise stops, Shuka notices something strange. The normal people on the street all have different facial expressions, as if they were hypnotized. Without exception, all the civilians turn around and start walking in specific paths, repeating a single phrase like robots: "We are going home." Shuka realizes that the game is mind-controlling the civilians to completely clear out Shibuya, getting the battlefield ready for the massacre. Going back to Kaname inside the hotel room, he is trying to catch his breath and calm down. He convinces his mind of a survival plan, telling himself, I won't fight anyone. I'll collect the 3 rings that keep me alive and hide. He sends a message to Shuka, letting her know he spawned inside the hotel and will start moving out to meet her. When he opens the game app and turns on the virtual reality camera, he can see the outlines of nearby rings. He spots a glow coming from under his bed, reaches out, and grabs the first ring he needs. Now he only needs 2 more. Right after, he gathers his courage and decides to open the door to leave. But as soon as the door opens, he is shocked to see a bloody carving of a dead player right there in the hallway. Kaname immediately turns the camera back on to check the path, and that's when he discovers the disaster. The hallway and the entire hotel are full of glowing rings moving everywhere. This means the hotel is packed with players hunting each other down. He literally spawned inside a hornet's nest and could be killed at any second. Right then, he sees the outline of a player approaching on the camera. He quickly hides and clones his gun to defend himself. Suddenly, an armored player wearing a skull mask appears. As soon as he spots Kaname, he raises his machine gun and, without any warning, unleashes a hail of bullets at him. Kaname flies from his spot and runs as fast as he can towards the emergency stairs to escape. But to his surprise, the entire staircase is blocked and locked down by a massive, strange type of plant. He turns around and runs down the hallway to the other stairs, but finds them blocked by the exact same plants. He has no way out except the elevator. As soon as he reaches the elevator, he is shocked to find the armored player standing right behind him, pointing the machine gun barrel straight at his back. In a moment of despair, Kaname tries to negotiate. He holds out the ring he found and begs him, "Take the ring and let me live. You won't gain anything by killing me." But the armored player ignores his words, looks at him coldly and pulls the trigger to end his life. But to his surprise, the gun is out of bullets. Kaname seizes this golden opportunity. He spins around with lightning speed, points his gun right at the armored player's face, and yells at him to drop his weapon. But the armored player looks at him with pure disgust and mocks him, saying, "Your hand is shaking while aiming that gun at me. You are less than worthy of me wasting a bullet on you." He turns his face coldly, leaves him, and gets into the elevator. At that moment, Kaname feels an overwhelming sense of frustration and despair choking him. He feels like a stranger in this world, unable to fit in. He blames himself and his good nature, which refuses to kill anyone and always chooses running away over fighting. At the peak of his defeat, Ryan appears out of nowhere. She calls out to him with a warning tone, saying, "Don't get in that elevator." But Kaname, overwhelmed by the stress, ignores her words and says, "I don't have to listen to a kid like you." But as soon as the elevator door opens, Kaname is shocked to see the body of the armored player he was just talking to seconds ago lying dead inside, with giant plants completely piercing his body. Ryan says confidently, "I think you trust me now, and no, I don't want to hurt you." She introduces herself as an information broker. She begins explaining the disaster they are in, telling him that all the players who spawned in this hotel are trapped inside. The hotel is under the control of a player named the Florist. His ability is absolute control over plants, and he is the one blocking the stairs and setting up the elevator trap. She offers to team up so they can get out alive and collect rings, instead of ending up dead like the other players. But Kaname looks at her with deep frustration and says, "Why would you need the help of a loser like me? I don't even know how to kill anyone, and I prefer running away over fighting." Ryan replies, "That is how I have played the game since I joined, and I'm still alive. Running away isn't something to be ashamed of if it keeps you alive. If we work together, we will definitely survive." Ryan's words comfort Kaname greatly. He feels they are alike. Since he desperately needs her information and intelligence, he immediately agrees to her offer. They start moving together to find a way out. On their way, they pass by the carved body of a dead player. Kaname asks her out of curiosity, how many players were here in the hotel when the event started? Ryan shocks him by answering, "There were 25 players, and now it's only you, me, and the florist left." She adds, "But as long as we stay away from the florist's traps, we are safe." She warns him to never go near those plants, because the florist has toxic plants that can take control of a human's nerves, turning them into mere moving puppets under his command. At that moment, Kaname's brain clicks, and he connects the dots quickly. He turns to Ryan and asks, "How long does it take for a player to turn into a carving after they die?" Ryan answers, "Just a few seconds, no more." Kaname yells, "The player in the elevator didn't die." He immediately pulls out his phone, opens the virtual reality camera, and is shocked to see glowing rings moving toward them. Right after, a hail of bullets is fired at them. A group of players rushes up the stairs to attack them, all under the mind control of the florist. Kaname and Ryan run as fast as they can and hide on one of the floors. Kaname looks at the camera again and sees the rings carried by those players getting closer to them, as if they can see exactly where they are. Ryan nervously says, "I don't know how they know our exact location when we don't have any rings to expose us on the map." Kaname looks around at the ceiling and spots a hotel security camera. He realizes what's happening and tells Ryan, "They know where we are through the security cameras. And since the florist is the one controlling them, he must be hiding in the hotel's control and camera room. Instantly, Kaname grabs his gun and starts shooting the hotel cameras one by one to completely blind the florist. On the other side, inside the control room, the screens start going dark in front of the florist. He smiles an evil smile and says in a challenging tone, "This kid is smart. Killing him is going to be very entertaining." After Kaname shoots all the security cameras on their floor, completely blinding the florist, he pulls Ryan and they hide in one of the hotel rooms. Now they are temporarily safe and no one will know their location. After thinking for a few minutes, Kaname figures out a plan and explains it to Ryan so they can escape this trap. But Ryan quickly does her calculations, looks at him in fear, and says, "According to my calculations, the chance of us dying in this plan is over 80%. But Kaname tells her that this is their only chance to escape, and they have no other choice. They buy all the weapons they need for their plan from the game shop. The execution begins immediately after the florist loses his temper. He orders all the hypnotized players to search the hotel room by room until they find them. Meanwhile, Ryan sneaks out quietly and heads to the stairs blocked by the giant plants. She tries to blow them up with bombs, but she is surprised to find that these plants are harder than iron and take no damage. Naturally, the sound of the explosion reveals Ryan's location. All the players run towards her like zombies, but Ryan was waiting for this exact moment. As soon as they get close to her, she throws a flashbang and blinds them. Instantly, she pulls out her stun gun and shocks them, taking them down one by one. Then she lures all of them to follow her, distracting them and pulling them away from Kaname. As for the florist, he is watching the working cameras at this time, completely confused. How is Kaname hiding like a coward and letting a little girl fight and do all this? But what he didn't know is that this was the trick. Ryan was just bait. At the same time, Kaname had tied a strong rope, jumped out of the room's window, and climbed down the front of the hotel to reach the floor where the control room is. As soon as Kaname enters the floor, he spots a room completely covered in a protective layer of giant plants. He figures this must be the control room and clones a bomb to blow up the door. But suddenly, the plants open up, and the florist steps out himself. He tells him, "You don't need to blow it up, I'm coming out to face you myself." In a second, he covers himself in a full armor suit made of solid plants, and the fight between them begins. At this moment, Kaname is surprised by the florist's power. A regular gun doesn't leave a single scratch on his armor. He quickly throws the gun, clones a machine gun, and opens fire on it, but the florist is still the stronger side. He hits Kaname with a strike that sends him flying to the ground, and he loses consciousness for a few seconds. In those seconds, Kaname sees a strange vision. He finds himself standing in front of a weapon maker who looks exactly like him. The weapon maker tells him confidently, "I knew you would need me, and come to me. Your enemy's armor blocks regular bullets, but I have the solution. Bullets that explode on impact. This is what will pierce his armor." Kaname looks at him in shock and asks, "Who are you?" But before he hears the answer, he wakes up from his faint and finds himself back on the battlefield. As soon as Kaname opens his eyes, he clones the new bullets he saw in the vision, loads his weapon, and hits the florist with a barrage of explosive rounds. Once the bullets start exploding on the armor, the florist is shocked by this massive power. Kaname keeps shooting non-stop until the explosive bullets completely destroy his armor, dropping the florist to the ground, defeated. But Kaname stands over him with the gun pointed at his head. He has the power to end his life with the pull of a finger, but he lowers his weapon and says, "I will give you a chance to surrender, and I won't kill you." Here, the florist's personality completely changes. He speaks to him with the tone of a father advising his son, saying, "Listen, son, once you defeat your enemy, never let them feel safe. As soon as you get the chance, kill them immediately. That is the only way you can survive in this game." But Kaname shocks him with his reply, "Not only will I let you live, I want you to join me and become a team. This way, we will become the strongest and most dominant force in this game." Suddenly, Ryan interrupts them, aiming her weapon at the florist. She tells Kaname, "Are you sure about what you're doing? He could backstab us at any moment." But Kaname reassures her and says, "I trust him, don't worry. Having him join us is a massive win here." To prove his good intentions, the florist decides to offer a token of goodwill. He tells them, "As proof of my loyalty, this hotel had 24 rings. I collected them, and I will give them to you so we can share them." Kaname looks at both of them and says, "We are going to form a clan together. We will fight together, protect each other, and the winnings will be shared among us all. But to be able to stand against the rest of the players in this game, we still need more members." After this fierce battle between Kaname and the florist ended, Kaname decides to rest his body. He enters one of the hotel rooms to sleep for a bit. As soon as he opens his eyes, he finds a message from Shuka saying she is on her way to the hotel to meet him. Kaname gets up from his break and goes out to Ryan and the florist, to see what the next step is. When he walks out, he finds them tying up the armored player who attacked him at the elevator. The florist tells Kaname that he canceled the mind control he had on him. The armored man tells them not to keep him tied up like this. Either kill him or let him go. Kaname surprises everyone and offers the armored player to join their team. Naturally, the armored man angrily refuses, saying, "Are you joking? One of you erased my memory, controlled me, and made me his servant. It's impossible for me to be on the same team with him." But Kaname tells him the decision is his. They untie him, and Kaname says his weapons are in the elevator. He can take them and leave. The armored player actually turns around and walks towards the door. But here, the florist drops the words that change everything, saying, "So our clan consists of me, Kaname, and Rhine, with Shuka on the way. Our goal is to defeat the 8th clan led by Wang." As soon as the armored player hears Wang's name, he freezes, his blood boiling. He turns back to them excitedly and says he changed his mind and accepts their offer because they share the same goal, killing Wang and destroying the 8th clan. He takes off his mask to reveal his face for the first time. He introduces himself, saying, "My name is Ryuji, and my ability is actually useless. It's lie detection." Here, the florist also introduces himself, saying, "My real name is Ichiro." On the other hand, Shuka is on her way to the hotel and decides to take a shortcut through an underground passage. But her instinct as a top player makes her feel like someone is watching her, and that this passage is a trap. She gets angry and prepares her weapon, but is surprised to find water surrounding her from everywhere. Shuka runs, trying to escape the water, until a little girl appears. She looks innocent, but her ability is terrifying. This girl can control water and use it as a weapon. Shuka tries to attack her, but the girl creates a solid wall of water and freezes it in a second to block Shuka's attack. Not only that, she isolates Shuka in the passage and floods the whole place with water. Shuka finds herself drowning, gasping for air, so she decides to send an SOS message to Kaname, saying, "Save me quickly." Kaname reads the message, and his blood runs cold. He immediately tells the team that Shuka is in danger and they must move. They agree to split into 2 teams. Ryan and Ichiro will stay at the hotel to keep control of it, while Kaname and Ryuji will rush to Shuka's location as fast as possible. As soon as they get near the passage, they find the little girl sitting there acting innocent. She tells them she is scared and doesn't want to fight them. Kaname sympathizes with her as usual, but Ryuji is smarter than that. He uses his lie detection ability and discovers that the girl isn't lying. She truly doesn't want to fight them. When they ask her about Shuka, she says she saw her going down the passage and doesn't know anything else. When they look, they see the passage is completely flooded. But Kaname, without thinking, takes off his clothes and tells Ryuji, "I'm going down to get her. Keep an eye on this girl and consider her a new member of the clan. If I don't come back, give her my share of the rings." He jumps into the water, racing against time to save Shuka. But at this moment, Ryuji discovers that some of the girl's words aren't true. She is lying and knows something about Shuka that she is hiding. He threatens her to tell him what she is hiding before he kills her. Ryuji is surprised when her innocent childish features change. She transforms, makes a quick backstabbing move, and bursts a water pipe right in Ryuji's face. She freezes the water splashed on his gun to disable it so he can't shoot her, then runs away to escape from him. The little girl hides from Ryuji in a store to lure him into a new trap. Ryuji actually follows her very carefully until he enters the store. As soon as he gets in, the girl sets up a very smart trap. She makes her phone ring to catch his attention. But Ryuji is smarter and knows it's a trap, so he leaves the phone on the ground and doesn't get close to it. But the real problem wasn't the phone. The problem was that the girl wanted him to get close to the drink's fridge so she could use her abilities on him, and she succeeded in doing that. She manages to blow up the fridge with all the water bottles inside. Water flies everywhere and completely soaks Ryuji. At that exact moment, the girl uses her ice ability to freeze the water on Ryuji's body, locking him in place like an ice statue. Right away, the girl takes advantage of the situation. She creates a sword out of ice and decides to end Ryuji's life. But suddenly, the girl grabs her own hand and stops herself from killing Ryuji. Suddenly, Ryuji sees the girl transform back to her innocent features again. She apologizes to Ryuji while crying, telling him she won't kill him. On the other hand, Kaname is facing death to reach Shuka. He swims until he finds an ice wall blocking the passage. So he clones his gun and keeps shooting at the exact same spot until he makes a small hole. He manages to keep hitting it until he widens the hole. He passes through it and reaches Shuka at the very last second, saving her from drowning. As soon as she opens her eyes, she finds Kaname in front of her. She hugs him and thanks him for saving her. She tells him, "You asked before to know the reason I entered the game world, and I didn't answer. Now I will tell you the truth. I joined this game to get strong abilities and get revenge on the people who killed my parents, who were innocent people. I didn't want to tell you my truth, because I felt you might hate me. but Kaname understands her situation. The two of them get out of the passage and go to the supermarket where Ryuji and the little girl are. As soon as Shuka sees the girl, she gets very angry. But the girl apologizes for what happened, telling her name is Sui and she isn't the one who did that to her. She explains she has a twin brother whose soul is trapped with her in the same body, named Suda, and he is the violent one, unlike her. She asks them to join their clan, telling them about her water control ability which they will definitely benefit from. And of course, the friendly Kaname agrees to her request. At that moment, Kaname receives a serious notification from Ryan. She tells him the final diamond ring has appeared. This is the one that gives the most points in the event, and no one knows its location until now. But she will try to find a way for them to reach it. Ryan plays the role of the mastermind. She uses her phone camera to scan the rings they have, and discovers something that will turn the game upside down. She finds unique secret numbers on every ring, and the number doesn't repeat based on the type, for example. She is unable to find any connection linking the numbers to the rings. Meanwhile, the hotel they are in is under a massive attack by 20 players from the 8th clan. They are attacking to take over the hotel and steal all the rings inside. Here, Ichiro orders Ryan to escape with the rings she has by any means. He tells her he will face this attack alone. But he makes one last request, saying, "Take my share of the rings, convert them to money, and give it to my daughter. She is sick with a heart disease and getting treatment, and I only joined this game to gather money for her treatment." Ryan promises to fulfill his request and runs away from the hotel, deeply moved. As for Ichiro, he stays alone to face the 8th clan's army. He comes up with a very smart plan. The first step he takes is distracting Sig, the fire ability user, from the rest of the soldiers. He makes him go up in the elevator alone to scout the upper floors. As soon as Sig goes up, Ichiro seizes the opportunity. He puts on his plant armor and goes down to kill the rest of the soldiers below, one by one, with absolute ease. While Sig is standing in front of the elevator door waiting for his soldiers to come up, the elevator door opens. He is shocked to find Ichiro standing in front of him, fully wearing his terrifying plant suit, and ready for the final battle. The battle begins between Ichiro and Sig. The fight gets intense between both sides. Ichiro with his plant armor starts to control the fight, and is just moments away from defeating Sig. But suddenly, the glass window behind Ichiro breaks, and Keiichi, Wang's right-hand man, jumps in. He hits Ichiro with a devastating strike that sends him flying through the air towards Sig. Sig seizes this golden opportunity, plunges his hand into Ichiro's chest, and completely pierces through his body. Sig praises Keiichi for his perfect timing. Just when they think Ichiro is dead, they are surprised by plant roots attacking from underground, holding explosive bombs. However, Keiichi uses his ability to create a shield to protect himself and Sig from the explosion. When the smoke clears, they find Ichiro is gone, but his blood trail is still there. They follow the trail until they find him on another floor. He gathers his strength and uses his ability to create plant supports that squeeze his heart, forcing it to beat so he can take his final breaths. As soon as Keiichi and Sig get close to finish him off, Ichiro decides to kill himself to take them down with him. He detonates all his remaining plant energy to bring the hotel down on their heads. The building completely collapses. Keiichi miraculously manages to escape, but Sig dies under the rubble with Ichiro, after Ichiro made the ultimate sacrifice to protect his daughter and his clan. We go back to Rhine, who escaped the hotel. With her massive intelligence, she manages to solve the ring puzzle. She discovers that the numbers on the rings are their coordinates. The number next to the diamond ring leads her to coordinates at the station in the middle of the city. Rian heads to the station right away, but she is shocked to find Wang's men filling the whole place. She tries to sneak around quietly to reach the ring's coordinates, but one of Wang's men has a super smelling ability and detects her sneaking. Rian runs away from them as fast as she can, but suddenly finds herself in the hands of the monster Wang himself. Rian tries to negotiate with him, saying she is ready to give him the information he wants about the diamond ring, but in return he must let her live. But negotiation isn't in Wang's dictionary. He grabs her arm and brutally breaks it. Naturally, Rhine screams hysterically in pain, but her courage overcomes her agony. She looks him in the eye and tells him, "You're just a stupid monster. You have nothing but muscles and excessive power, but your brain is empty and too weak to even know how to use this power." Wang gets insanely angry and raises his hand to split her in half and end her life. But right before he strikes, a flashbang explodes in the area. Shuka appears at the crucial moment and snatches Rhine away from Wang. As soon as Wang opens his eyes after the sudden blinding light, he finds the entire clan gathered in front of him. Kaname, Shuka, Ryuji, Rhine, and Sui. Wang looks at Kaname and says, "You must be the new kid everyone is talking about." Kaname tries to solve the situation calmly and offers Wang a bloodless negotiation. But Wang laughs with terrifying mockery and tells his men sarcastically, "He is asking to negotiate with me." He then orders his men to kill all of them immediately. At that moment, Kaname's team splits up. Kaname and Ryan go together to think of a solution for the diamond ring puzzle, while the rest of the team stays to face Wang's men. The war instantly breaks out between the two clans, but the upper hand goes to Kaname's clan. In the middle of this battle, Wang spots Ryuji and decides to kill him himself. Ryuji pulls out his machine gun and opens fire, telling him, "You don't know how long I've been waiting for this moment." But Wang's ability to manipulate space lets him dodge the bullets as if walking on air. In the blink of an eye, he charges at Ryuji and, with a single strike of his hand, slices off Ryuji's arm. He decides to kill him. Right before Wang brings his hand down to finish Ryuji off, Kaname appears, screaming at the top of his lungs to stop Wang. He raises his hand in the air, showing him the key he is holding. With a tone full of confidence and challenge, he says, "I have the key that opens the diamond ring safe. Let Ryuji live, and this key is yours." At this moment, Ryuji is completely confused, but he realizes the true value of his ability when he discovers that Kaname is lying. Kaname is playing a smart trick on Wang to save him, while at the same time not losing the diamond ring. Naturally, Wang's greed wins, and he agrees to Kaname's offer. As soon as Kaname throws the key to him, Wang leaves Ryuji and runs like a madman to catch it in the air. Meanwhile, Kaname heads straight to the station's ATM and quickly enters the number written next to the diamond ring. Kaname sarcastically tells Wang he never imagined tricking him would be this easy. Instantly, the game announces Kaname as the winner of the event. Wang realizes he's been fooled, and that the event's secret was entering the number into the ATM. He gets insanely furious and screams that he will kill them all. But suddenly, hologram cubes appear, freezing all the players in place. The game announces the end of the event and starts teleporting the players out of the Shibuya map, except for Kaname. Suddenly, Kaname finds himself completely alone. A reward box for winning the challenge appears in front of him. When he opens it, he finds a mobile phone inside. Kaname is confused and says, "Is this the treasure players were killing each other for?" But as soon as he holds it, the phone starts ringing. Kaname quickly answers, only to discover that the person calling is the game developer himself. He congratulates him on his victory, telling him he won a massive amount of points and, more importantly, an exclusive privilege to request anything in the game, as long as it isn't immortality or bringing someone back from the dead. Kaname doesn't hesitate and tells him, "My request is definitely to withdraw from this game immediately." But the developer mocks him, saying that's impossible. This privilege can only be used for things that make playing easier, nothing more. Kaname gets angry and says, "I give up this privilege. I don't want anything from you." But the developer calms him down, saying, "I'll pretend I didn't hear anything and save your privilege for when you need it." The developer continues, saying the only way to quit is to clear Darwin's game entirely. And there is another way, of course, killing him personally. He challenges Kaname, "You have the freedom to either kill players until you finish the game, or try to reach me and kill me." The call ends. 2 months later, in a quiet hospital, we see an insurance lawyer entering the room of a sick little girl. This girl is Ichiro's the florist's daughter. The lawyer hands her a massive check, telling her that her father left this money before he died so she could finish her treatment. The girl is completely shocked and breaks down crying when she finds out her dad died. She refuses to take the check and kicks the lawyer out of her room. As soon as the lawyer steps out, Ryan is waiting for him and asks how it went. He replies that the girl is obviously devastated, but he left the check on the table next to her before leaving. With this, Ryan kept her promise to Ichiro, converted the rings into real money, and sent the lawyer to deliver it to his daughter. Suddenly, the room's door opens and Ichiro's daughter runs out, bumping into Ryan, and they both fall. The girl apologizes, saying she didn't know she was there. But Ryan comforts her, telling her she is her father's friend. She tells her, "He loved you so much and made so many sacrifices to save your life. I don't think you should let his sacrifices go to waste. Use the check to do what he spent his life fighting for, finish your treatment, and use the rest of the money to live the life he wished for you." Ryan walks away, leaving her to think about her words. Meanwhile, Ryuji goes to the Danjo clan's building there. A player with magical healing abilities treats him and manages to restore his arm, which Wang cut off, 100% healthy. Danjo congratulates him, saying, "Congratulations, Ryuji. Now you're back to full strength and ready to take your revenge on Wang." He tells him, "Come with me to Kaname at the training ground to see his progress." They go down to the training ground and meet Inukai, Danjo's right-hand man and the one responsible for training Kaname. Danjo asks him about Kaname's level. Inukai replies that after 2 months of hard daily training, he is finally qualified to create his own clan. Danjo looks at Kaname and says, "Of course, before we agree on anything, you must promise that when you form your clan, it is strictly forbidden to get into any fights with my clan." Naturally, Kaname, who hates fighting, agrees to this condition. Danjo smiles at him and says, "As for your progress, I will test it myself because you're going to fight me. If you win, I will allow you to create your clan. But if you lose, forget about your clan request." And of course, Kaname accepts the condition. The battle starts between Kaname and Danjo, with Inukai standing as a referee. Danjo launches a fierce attack, but Kaname uses his intelligence and speed to lightly dodge his strikes. Now it is Kaname's turn to attack. He clones a gun and shoots at Danjo, but he dodges. Kaname changes his tactic, instantly turning the gun into a machine gun and opening fire on Danjo. Danjo immediately runs and hides behind a massive concrete pillar in the arena. But Kaname doesn't stop shooting and keeps aiming his fire at the pillar. Danjo gets angry, uses his massive strength, rips the pillar from its place, and throws it at Kaname like a rocket. Kaname jumps to dodge the pillar and falls to the ground. Danjo jumps high in the air to land a crushing blow to finish Kaname completely. But in a split second, Kaname clones a bomb and throws it right in Danjo's face. Danjo is terrified, thinking this maniac is using a bomb and will kill us both for the fight. He lands on the ground and creates an iron shield to protect himself from the explosion. But when he opens his eyes, he is shocked to find Kaname standing right over his head, pointing two machine guns at his brain. Kaname looks at him with full confidence and asks, "Do you want to continue or surrender?" Here Danjo realizes he was tricked by a fake bomb. He announces his defeat, admits Kaname's victory in front of everyone, and declares him worthy of forming his clan. But this moment of victory is interrupted when a completely new character appears out of nowhere. It is Yuelen, and she isn't just a normal player, she is the #1 ranked player in all of Darwin's game. She congratulates Kaname on his win. Ryan looks in shock and says, "Did Yuelen come in person just to congratulate Kaname?" But Yuelen replies with a cold smile, "I'm not just here to congratulate, I came to take Kaname with me." In the blink of an eye, she kidnaps Kaname and vanishes from the place like a ghost. As soon as Shuka finds out what happened, she loses her temper. She yells at Ryu and Ryan, saying, "How did he get kidnapped right in front of you while you were just standing there watching?" Ryuji gathers his strength and tells her that they suddenly found themselves knocked out, and when they woke up, he was gone. But Shuka doesn't waste any time. She opens the game map, locates Kaname, and they fly off quickly to save him. We move to Kaname, who is sitting inside a very luxurious car. Juelen takes the lead, introduces herself, and says, "I am Juelen, known as the hired assassin." Kaname is confused and asks, "And what does a hired assassin want from me?" She tells him she has been watching him since he entered the game, and she even bet on him to win the treasure hunt event, and actually won the bet. She offers him to be her partner to execute assassination missions together for any amount of money he asks for. But Kaname totally rejects this bloody principle and tells her, "If you were really watching me, you would know that I haven't killed a single person since I joined the game." At that moment, they are interrupted by the loud noise of an armored car chasing them at lightning speed to stop them. Here, Shuelen tells Kaname, "I will give you a chance to save the clan you just formed." She takes out her phone, calls Shuka, and tells them it's better for them to walk away. But as soon as Shuka answers, Kaname yells at her, saying, "Hit the car I am in with all the power you have." This annoys Juelen, and she says, "This is the first time you made a mistake. Kaname, you know I could kill you and your entire clan." Kaname tells her, "Let's make a deal. If you manage to escape in this car from my clan, consider me your servant forever, and I will do any missions you want." At this moment, Ryan pops out of the roof of their car and uses a sniper to aim at Juelen's car tires, but the tires are bulletproof. However, Shuka goes totally out of control. She attacks the car with her chains like a tornado and manages to destroy the armored tires. Here, Juelen gets out angrily to kill Shuka and the rest of the clan. But Kaname steps in at the right moment to stop the fight and tells Juelen, "You promised me you would let me go if they managed to stop your car." Juelen agrees, and not only that, she even offers to join his clan. But of course, the whole clan refuses and tells Kaname, "No, don't agree. She could backstab us at any moment." But Kaname, with his leader's vision, tells them, "I trust her. Having her join us is a massive win." Juelen tells them she won't be with them all the time, but they can summon her for any dangerous mission, just like she can summon them if she needs them for a dangerous mission. Their meeting ends with this agreement. But what Kaname doesn't know is that while he was busy building his clan and training, he was missing from his school and normal life for 2 months. His friend Shinazuka starts getting very worried about him and decides to go to his house to check on him. As soon as Shinazuka arrives at the house, he doesn't find Kaname. Instead, he is shocked by a gang surrounding him from everywhere. This gang is Wang's men, because the 8th clan was turning the world upside down looking for Kaname to take revenge on him. As soon as they find his friend, they decide to kidnap him as a hostage to lure Kaname into a death trap. Suddenly, Kaname receives a video notification sent by Wang. When he opens the video, he sees his friend Shinazuka tied up and tortured in the worst ways possible. Wang's men are cutting off his fingers on camera while he is screaming and begging Kaname for help. The gang sends him a message at the end of the video saying, "If you don't come alone to take your friend, we will send his head right to you," After Kanami watches Shinazuka's torture video, he reaches the absolute peak of anger. He completely loses his temper and decides to move immediately to kill them all. But at this moment, Ryuji steps in and calms him down, saying, "Anger and rushing right now won't save your friend. We need to be calmer and smarter to save him." Kanami understands his words and starts to control his anger. They open the video again with Rine, so she can use her super intelligence to analyze every detail in the frame. She manages to pinpoint the exact location, an abandoned factory on the coast. Without wasting any time, the whole clan prepares their weapons and moves out on a bloody mission with absolutely no mercy. When they reach the factory, they discover that Shinazuka's screams were so loud from the torture that they brought the police to the scene, completely surrounding the factory. But in Darwin's game, the police are just paper dolls. Keiichi, Wang's right-hand man, heads to the east gate. He goes out to face the police there, and with his super speed, he commits a bloody massacre, finishing them all off one by one in seconds. As for the west gate, which another group of special forces is trying to storm, Wang decides to finish them himself. With his space-manipulating power, he cuts their bodies into small pieces without any mercy. While Wang and his men are busy fighting the police, Shuka seizes the opportunity. She sneaks in through the factory roof and drops a phone to Shinazuka. The phone rings right in front of him, barely holding onto his life. Shinazuka answers it. He finds Kaname on the line, telling him, "Open the Darwin's game app immediately and enter the game world. This is the only way for you to stay alive and get an ability that will heal you." Shinazuka actually manages to launch the game using his tongue. The game grants him a superpower, telekinesis. One of Wang's men notices that he freed himself and goes to attack him, but Shinazuka uses his power, striking Wang's men one by one and sending them flying away. Unfortunately, Wang spots what is happening and heads toward him, but Shinazuka gathers his strength and says, "I'm not afraid of you," and they get ready for the battle between them. When the clan reaches the factory, Kanami gives the signal for an all-out attack. They start executing a smart plan to divide the 8th clan's forces. Inukai goes with them to help, using his super speed against Keiichi. He actually enters a deadly fight with him and their power levels are very close. Meanwhile, Sui and Rine take another front, starting to reap the souls of the rest of Wang's men surrounding the factory. Now the path is clear for Kanami and Ryuji to enter the heart of the factory and face the ultimate monster. Wang, Kanami, and Ryuji enter to find Wang waiting for them with his provoking smile, welcoming them. Instantly, Kanami points his weapon at him and yells, "Where is my friend? If you don't tell me his location, I will kill you and wipe out your entire clan." Wang mocks him and says, "Asking about your friend. Well, he is right next to you. If you look beside you, you will find him." When Kanami slowly turns his face to where Wang is pointing, he sees a box with a waterfall of blood pouring out of it. Kanami is struck with pure shock. He approaches the box, his hands shaking. When he opens it, he is completely devastated to see his friend chopped into pieces inside the box. Naturally, at this moment, Kanami collapses to the ground. His tears fall like rain. He goes into a fit of crying, self-blame, and intense guilt, telling himself, "I am the reason. I am the one who killed him. I am the one who dragged him into this world." Seeing Kanami broken, Wang feels bored. He turns his back to them and orders his men, "Kill them both right now." One of Wang's men listens, raises his weapon, and aims it at Kanami's head while he is still on the ground. But in a fraction of a second, Kanami raises his gun. Without any thought, without any hesitation, he fires his very first bullet. It lands straight in the head of Wang's man, dropping him dead instantly. This is the first time Kanami kills a person inside the game. The rule he lived by from the very first day is broken forever. Kanami stands on his feet. His facial features, which were once full of kindness, completely disappear, turning into the features of a ruthless killer. His eyes show absolutely no mercy. He looks at the body of the man he just killed and says in a cold tone, "You guys have pissed me off way too much." After Kaname breaks his rule and kills the first of Wang's men, a terrifying silence takes over the place for a few seconds. It is broken by Wang, who gets furious that someone dared to kill one of his men right in front of his eyes. He screams at the rest of the gang, "What are you standing there watching? Kill them all, quickly." But Kaname and Ryuji don't even give them a chance to breathe. In the blink of an eye, they unleash a hail of bullets on Wang's men, reaping their souls right where they stand without any mercy. At this moment, Wang completely loses his temper, seeing his men lying dead in front of him. He decides to attack Kaname himself to slice him up, but before he can reach him, Shuka appears out of nowhere and stabs her weapon into Wang's back. Right away, A bloody showdown begins between Shuka and Wang. Shuka uses her chains to defeat him, but Wang, with his destructive power and ability to manipulate space, easily cuts her chains. Now it's Wang's turn to attack. He launches a counterattack on Shuka, raising his arm to slice her where she stands. But Wang is shocked to find that his own leg gets cut off. He can't understand how this happened. Here, Shuka mocks him and says, "What is this? You cut your own leg instead of cutting me." That is a very stupid mistake. Wang gets even angrier, confused because he has never missed his target before. He gathers his strength and uses teleportation to attack her from behind. But he is shocked again when this time, his arm gets cut off. Shuka smiles sarcastically and tells him, "Congratulations, you lost 2 limbs, only 2 more to go." Wang still doesn't understand what is happening, but he is furious at Shuka's mockery. He promises her that he will kill her and Kaname, and torture them until they wish for death. Suddenly, a drop of blood falls on his head. Confused, Wang looks up to find a very thin wire with his blood on it. He wonders, "What is this wire?" Shuka answers him, "You finally understand. I set up many thin wires around you so you couldn't see them. When you try to move, you cut yourself without even realizing it." Wang is shocked and asks, "How? A bunch of wires can't cut through bones." But Shuka tells him, "You are talking to the Queen of Thorns. I can control chains and anything similar, like wires. I managed to make them so durable that they are sharper than a saw, and strong enough to lift a human being easily." She wraps her wires around him and hangs him up like a prey caught in a spider's web. At this moment, Wang decides to use his trump card, a mysterious ability he uses for the first time, which is swapping places. He decides to swap his place with Shuka to win the battle, and have her hang in the wires instead of him. But as soon as he uses this power, he is shocked to find that his other leg gets cut off too. Shuka laughs at him and says, "You're really stupid. The ends of these wires come from me. When you swapped your place with mine, the wires wrapped around you again and cut your leg." Here Wang feels pure terror for the first time in his life. After losing 2 legs and an arm, he finds no solution but to escape. He uses his teleportation ability to run far away. But due to heavy bleeding and loss of balance, he makes a mistake and flies high up into the sky. Right before he falls and hits the ground, he uses teleportation again to slow his landing speed so he doesn't die from the impact. He actually succeeds in doing that. But as soon as he opens his eyes while lying on the ground, he finds Kaname and Ryuji standing in front of him, with a gun barrel pointed directly at his head. Kaname tells him the awaited moment of revenge is here. But Wang breaks down and starts begging Kaname like a child, saying, "Please don't kill me. I will give you all my points. I will give you everything my clan owns. Just let me live." Kaname looks at him with disgust and says coldly, "I forgot to tell you that I used the exclusive privilege I won from the treasure hunt event. I asked the game to take all of your points and your clan's points, and transfer them all to me if I win this fight against you." This is the knockout blow for Wang, who can't believe what he is hearing. Suddenly, hologram cubes start appearing around all the remaining men of the 8th clan in the area, because their point counters drop to 0. Even Keiichi, during his fight with Inukai, starts getting covered in hologram cubes and gradually disappears. Finally, it reaches Wang himself. He is in a state of absolute panic, trying to beg everyone for help, even the game developers. But his cries are worthless. The cubes start eating his chopped-up body, and he screams in terror until he disappears forever too. With this, the 8th clan is finished forever, and Kaname wins the war. After the war ends, the whole clan gathers around Kaname. Their hearts are filled with joy. Ryuji tells Kaname, "Cheer up a bit. You avenged your friend and killed Wang, the monster who caused all our problems." But Kaname looks at him, his eyes still holding that same look of revenge, and says, "Wang was just a tool. The real killer of my friend is still alive, and I won't rest until I cut off his head." He tells his clan, "Our next target is the game developer himself."